I have to basically just establish a little bit of our history together, and I will do that very briefly. How I met Pedro Almodóvar, I think it was in 1980. I was working at the time at the National Theatre in Madrid, and he was introduced to me by some of the actors that I was working with at the time. I was doing Calderón de la Barca in the classic theatre, and he was actually already presented Pepe, Lucy, Yvonne y otras chicas del montón, the first movie that he did, and he became kind of el enfant terrible of the Spanish cinematography at the time. And so he came to see me, I think it was a couple of weeks after that, at the National Theatre. And when he saw the performance, he came to my dressing room with Cecilia Roth. I remember that. And he offered me the possibility of working in his second movie. And it was Labyrinth of Passion. That's the way that we met each other. I met Penelope in New York many years after. I was doing
when we were neighbors.
I was doing Philadelphia. I was living in Greenwich Village at the time, and so she was just coming to New York. She got a boyfriend at the time that was working there, and she was smelling a little bit a country in which she will later develop part of her career, a brilliant part of her career. You know, how we got to Pedro Almodóvar was through different ways. Before we start actually with questions that I have over here about Parallel Mothers, I think it's called in English, I suppose, it's the same title, right? Parallel Mothers. I must say that I just finished watching it and I loved it. I really did.
You watched it today? Today?
Yeah, today. I just finished. It's hot. It's still, you know, I have it still in my skin. No, I found it incredibly interesting. I have to process it to completely understand everything. Probably I'm going to watch it again. But the movie has a number of different things going on at the same time that are very interesting. It's a movie of suspense. At a certain point, there is another homage again, if you will, to women, to theater in some little spaces, to all the people that actually suffer, you know, to be forgotten after the Spanish Civil War. And, you know, the connection between this strong story between these two women and this confusion that actually became kind of a metaphoric way to explain the life of Spain, you know, and the fact that we go back in time in a way, you know, just to recover the bodies of part of the family of one of the characters, the character played by Penelope. I thought it was unbelievably interesting, you know, all the features of the latest Pedro Almodóvar, I think they are in the movie, the colors, of course, the music of Alberto, the photography, you know, a number of elements. And one thing that it becomes very clear to me is that Pedro arrived to a point in his career in which he doesn't lose time at all in things that are not important. Everything that actually made it to the screen is for a reason. There is no distraction. It goes to the point very strongly. Emotionally, the movie works beautifully. It really surprised me because I knew partially some of the story, things that I saw in trailers, and because I've been rehearsing and stuff like that, I didn't have really time to see it in a movie theater. But so there were some elements that totally surprised. So I would like to just
which element surprised you?
Yeah, well, you know,
for example,
one of the things that surprised me is actually the element of you know, how those kids were exchanged, and how one of the mothers, the mother that actually loses the kid, even if it's been raised by another woman, doesn't reveal that immediately. And that at some point I thought, oh my God, of course, you know, I mean, it needs a process to actually give up to the life of the baby that you have been raising, even if it's not yours. And so there is some metaphorical aspects there that have to link with the Civil War. It's a question that I will make to you later on, Pedro. But I would like to know first how this idea came to you, the idea of putting together this movie and in the way that you were doing. And yes, because the element of the civil war is in there, you know, in the atmosphere of the entire movie. There is some metaphorical aspects. I mean, when we see these two women, maybe the answer is going to be no, but you know that many people are going to think about that too. Is there represented, or you try at some point to represent with those two women the two Spains?
Well, of course, there is a kind of metaphor of these two women that they represented to Spain, because Spain, it was, as you know, a divided country since always, even now, and of course it was at the moment of the 30s. And I mean, there is a sequence when they are both of them in the kitchen, and Penelope is correcting the other girl, Anna, and saying, you don't know the country you are living. Of course, I mean, we are the two, I mean, our Republican Spain and another kind of Spain that perhaps Anna is unconscious of that, but she was educated in one very conservative family. I mean, this kind of family that say, like the right in Spain and the far right said that the exhumations of the mass graves, they only helps to open the wounds. Is correct to say wounds for heridas?
Wounds.
Wound. And because this is the only explanation that the right and the far right give to be just against the exhumations. And well, in that point, at that kitchen, really both of them, they are representing these two Spains. I mean, in the case of Anna, is an adolescent, is someone very young, and of course I can understand. But what I mean is that she belongs and she was raised in one a very conservative family, as the mother herself confessed in one moment, apolitic. And well, you know, I mean, I don't know, you know, I mean, you know, digo, I say that when someone in Spain said, I am apolitic, like Aitana, it means that you are conservative. Which is okay, because we have to come, I mean, you have to live together, all of us. But you know, since the beginning, really, I mean, I was thinking about the mass graves and the missing, the disappear or missing people since the beginning. I mean, I was inspired by one case that happens, and I saw it on TV, that two mothers that they have an interchange or you can correct me, all of you.
Or exchanged también.
Exchange of babies, and I don't know how they found out, and they, I mean, under the advice of many therapists, they were living, both families, they were living together. I mean, to the moment that really they make the exchange for the legitimate daughter. And I mean, I don't talk that, but I thought, I mean, that was the first step of the story. But since the beginning, as the character of Janis is a woman, is a contemporary woman. I mean, she can be a mother, a single mother, because families and motherhood changed a lot in the last 30 years. I mean, you can have, I mean, you can be a mother even not only without being married, not only without have a sexual relationship, and we have friends that did it like that. So I want her to represent this kind of contemporary single mother, but also I wanted to create a link with the past. So as she was the daughter of a hippie that she was living in Ibiza, and really that when she was a baby was raised and educated by the grandmother, and the grandmother was a girl of 10 years old when 3 Phalangists just came to the dining room where they were having dinner and pick up her father. Then I established a link with the past. But also even that this past is very long, because we are talking about 85 years when these things happens. But anyway, you know, in the Spanish society, we still talk about these things. I mean, and we have now a new law of memory that it's called, it was in July, when the government of Sanchez established this law.
Yeah, or historic memory.
Yeah, but the law, they said,
It's the
la ley
democratic
de
memory.
memoria democrática,
Well,
law of democratic memory. So since then, it's supposed that the administration, I mean, is going, I mean, just to be son los que se van a ocupar de las exhumaciones. O sea, no las familias, sino la institución, las instituciones.
Yeah, so it's the state institutions that are now are bound to take care of the exhumations instead of the families themselves.
No, but you know, there is one human side of the story that it was one of the surprises that I was referring to, which is very interesting. And I thought, okay, this is very human in a way, which makes reference to the scene.
It's basically, Antonio, it's basically human. It's basically human. I talk to many families, and you know what they want is just to have, I mean, to have una lápida, I mean, in the cemetery, and to bring flowers to the remains of their relatives. This is the only thing.
No, but what I was going to tell you is that it's very interesting at some point, the humanity of the characters that actually played by Penelope. You know, it's very interesting that she's explaining to her in the kitchen scene when she's saying, you know, you don't know anything about your past. You don't know that these people disappeared, that they are, you know, buried somewhere close to a road. And at the same time, as a spectator, you're thinking, she got the baby of the other one, and she's not saying anything.
Yeah.
So
that is
you
the
know,
point. That is the point. Yes. Yeah. That makes the story much more complex for me, and much more rich, and much more difficult for Penelope, because I mean, I am going from one personal thing to a collective issue, but I'm telling the story of these missing people. I mean, she's looking like the historic truth of Spain, but because she has a true moral dilemma, because she's hiding everything. I mean, we talk about the truth, but with a character that is lying, is hiding something. And that was the point that appealed me a lot, and also made the character of Penelope so difficult and more, not only difficult because she's always telling something, but is hiding something. And so we have to say that Penelope is brilliant in the movie, and that is, I think, is the more complex and difficult character that I wrote for her. No, Penelope.
Thank you, Pedro.
No,
it's the character that you created. It was already alive. When I read it, I knew it was a huge challenge, but I have enjoyed every second of this ride, because it's true that so many things are happening at the same time. Actually, in every moment of the film, she only has a little moment of peace, like when we start seeing her at the beginning, at the end of the movie, with this chosen family that is gonna work because it is a chosen family. But up until that point, it was a crazy adrenaline trip. I wanted to give it as much truth as possible, because what you wrote was a masterpiece. And especially in that scene that you were mentioning, Antonio, in the kitchen, which I think is the essence of her past, her present, and her future, because it's this moral dilemma of, I am lying about the most sacred thing, which is my own daughter, the thing that she has loved the most in her life, because she has never been allowed to have a family, and we cannot forget that she was an orphan. But at the same time, I am challenging you to take a place, to speak up for the truth, to look at the past and learn from the mistakes of the past. So this was really interesting to play. And also the opportunity to have to play a great liar in life it was also such a relief, because I'm not a good liar in life, not that I want to learn, but it was such a relief. And everyone asked me this thing of, oh, how difficult the character was. And yes, I cannot say it was easy, but you know, Antonio, the kind of material that he writes and the treasures that he gives us, the faith, the trust that he puts in us, and also the company of every day there with us through the process of long periods of rehearsals, and then every single day with us and with every single department. That makes me look back at it, instead of looking at it as a traumatic experience, I look at it as one of the happiest times of my life. So it's what we all want, no?
No, but it was
we all want challenging, difficult material, but that is well written. And
no, but it was very tough to do it because, I mean, you are a kind of actress. You are very visceral. I mean, you need to believe in what you are doing, and there are two elements of the character that you don't know, because you are not like that. And this is the sense of guilt and the shame that follow with that sense of guilt. And I knew that was that was difficult for you, because, I mean, you are not the type of mother that Janis is, and also these two elements, you don't have it. So we need to rehearse a lot, because we rehearse more than ever, just to touch that thing and to arrive to that moment when you cannot listen to yourself talking about the truth, and knowing that you are lying. And it happened in the kitchen sequence. That after that you go to the yard, to this kind of terrace, and then you decide, I cannot live without it. I mean, with this, then I have to confess. No. I mean, we did it, and I wanted to be sure that you will get to that part of the character. So we need so many rehearsals. I mean, for you and also for Anna, that is a young actress without experience, and also her character is very difficult for someone that is completely new in this profession. And I was, Antonio, very lucky with the two of them.
She's very talented, but you were there for us in every single moment, and the most difficult days, which were the days of the confession, which I was, of course, terrified of those 2 weeks. You were always there, and it was just sometimes like coming to rescue us at the end when we could not come out of the state of the scene, and you would get angry with me for not coming out, and that would actually help me to come back to present time, no, to reality. And sometimes it was just a hug in the middle of the hallway, and all kinds of manifestations of your presence there, and I'm very, very thankful for that.
Well, and also one part that can be, just to finish that, but also, I mean, it is in the movie. I like that to give like a demonstration of that you can love a non-biological daughter in the same way than if it were biological.
Of course.
So, I mean, I understand that character because he's really, I mean, he's lying, but I mean, fathers that they don't have biological sons or daughter, they absolutely love them like if it were.
Of course, and that's why every time somebody asks me, your character takes too long to talk, and what do you think about that? And I get like a lioness, you know, because I understand her so well. I haven't been in that situation, but it's so hard what she does. She's risking everything she has. She might not see that baby ever again. So she's my hero because of that, because she speaks the truth. That is the hardest thing. It doesn't matter that she didn't give birth to her, but she's a good person, and she also loves Anna, and she takes the strength from that love to speak the truth. but she might not see the baby ever again.
One thing that caught my attention very much, and I have my own opinion about it, but I would like for you guys to talk because you know what you try to do, is the love story that happened between the two mothers. How suddenly there is something very strong right there that I don't think it has to do with sex. It has to do with something bigger than that. The need of some kind of, I don't know if you say, relief of certain pain that both carrying. And that is a very beautiful side of the story. But talk to me about that, please.
No, it's true. I mean, I'm not talking about a lesbian couple. I mean,
No.
I'm talking about two characters that I mean, their relationship is so deep in every sense that also include a physical relation. And also at the end, I mean, at that moment they create like a family of two mothers and a daughter and the other one which is dead. But also at the end, I propose a family very open, because this is the way that the families are now. I mean, in this new family, Janis is pregnant again, but they are living together. What I propose at the end is that the anthropologist, the two girls, and the little girl, and the coming someone, they will live together. So I mean, from a long time ago, I always talk about families that they are not, they don't have this kind of religious base like the Catholic families. That the families is a group. Someone is a lonely person that loves someone that needs to be cared, and this is what they do. And the base of all that is just love. And but it's true that there's the sexual part of the story is like part of their. I mean, they are almost becoming a single woman. I mean, with that girl, it was part of that. I don't know how to explain it in English very well.
That's a beautiful way to say it.
Is the little girl, but they are both like one person. Yeah, it makes sense, because it doesn't come out like a sexual thing. It come out more like something deeper than that, and that represents a relief in some way for them. And it has some kind of even metaphysical kind of feeling. It's beautiful, I got to say, and it's very surprising for somebody that didn't know that was coming. It was like, oh wow, and it's true what you said, in a very natural way, without any kind of imposition. How suddenly Arturo is the name, right? Appears again, and establish a relationship with her that is very civilized, is very human, and you see this, not a structured family in a Catholic way, but in a much more modern way, very natural, very easy going. That's a beautiful side of the end of the movie, which actually is very emotional when they open the tomb too, and there is no a huge drama. There is almost a certain poetry, a certain
kind of relief. I mean, when they, and also we feel it like that when we were doing it, even of course it's a representation. It was a movie. We were shooting a movie, but it was very special. You remember Penelope? When that mass grave is open, and even all the extras were very moved, because
the little girl, there is a shot of the little girl touching her face. It's very beautiful.
That was very important, that shot of the little girl, because that for me represents the memory of the future, of the new generation of the Spanish people, that she will remember that moment of her life, and something is like closed, let's say. I mean, with
there
this
is nothing dark. There is nothing dark.
No.
In fact, the day that they approach the village, there is almost like a feeling of a festivity. It's almost like
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna come back home and they are preparing, everything in a very traditional way. And even when she approached with Arturo to the place, it's beautiful, it's green, it's very poetic. And I love that. I love that there is not a punch in the mouth of anybody. It's just
No,
the acceptance.
I took
It's very
care
beautiful.
of that. No. I wanted, and also I try to be. I mean, actually, every single dialogues, it was real. They were real. I made some researches, but they were like that. I mean, people very, very simple. They wanted, they dreamed to have the remains of their relatives, just to have a dignified buried, but it was not any kind of revancha or revenge or ajuste de cuentas. I don't know how to say that. Ajuste de cuentas or revancha.
Yeah, so sort of like of time debts in a way.
No, it was a kind of relief when that thing happened, and no, that was beautiful to shoot, and also very, very moving.
Yeah, it was definitely. Pedro, the original script suffered transformations during the rehearsal period, and even during the time that you guys were shooting the movie. Like it happened some other time that you write new things, and so the dynamic of the shooting of the scene or the rehearsals put you to just rewrite some of the stuff and stuff like that.
Not in this case. I mean, Antonio, that I used to adapt many things during the shooting, and sometimes, I mean, the shooting itself just inspire me new sequences. But in this case, what I did, I mean, I wrote the first draft long time ago, but I was not happy with that because exactly, I mean. The script was a little manichaeist because the part of Anna, I mean, the family that I give to Anna, it was an Opus Dei family, so they were awful. So it was clear that she ran away from that family. But I didn't feel like to, I mean, you have to run away when you feel that you are falling in manichaeism. I mean, this is the worst. So I let the script in my escritorio, and it was just during the pandemic, the first 3 months of the pandemic, when I took again, and I discovered that I really loved all the part of the two girls, I mean the two women, and the relation with the historical memory. But I hate absolutely like the 50% of the script that it was related to, I mean, the darker side of the Spanish society. So I decided just to eliminate completely. And I mean, she was living with an aunt, now with a mother. The mother, then the aunt became a mother and the character of Aitana. And then I faced the story of Anna in a very different way. And in these 3 months that I was very concentrated because we couldn't go out and what was the pandemic. And then I finished the script. But it seems to me that I didn't change when in the process of rehearsing. I mean, it was more clear when we rehearsed, and I was more sure when we were rehearsing everything. But I didn't, I mean, this is the first time perhaps that I didn't write a new sequence to add to the script. No, Penelope, we did really the script we have or not?
Only the little scenes in the kitchen where I like half improvised, and we were using a lot of your comments about cooking. When you were preparing the scene with us, which was, you said, I didn't write it, but we're gonna figure it out here. And you asked something like to somebody, you asked, can you peel potatoes? And the person looked at you like, how can you ask me if I can peel potatoes? What an insult, of course I can. And then you incorporated all of that into those scenes. And always it's some of my favorite days, the scenes, you know, Antonio, the
No, it's
scenes
really funny just to see
again,
both of you
or
just cutting potatoes. But you know, I always
So
try
funny.
to put something traditional of our culture in my movies. And
Yeah,
I mean,
patata.
for example, just the Spanish omelette, I think leaves a very unfair situation in the international market. I mean, I don't know how there were no one Spanish to because the Spanish omelette can compete with the pizza or with the hamburger, and there is no market for that. And I try always to put something that in this case belongs to our cultura culinaria, that is very important for us, and also that could have a possibility of being in the international market. But I don't know how they were not anyone. I mean, the Italian knew how to sell their things immediately.
Right?
Immediately.
Pasta.
Of course, in America they were dry cleaning, but they decided to be the best dry cleaners. Or, for example, the French, they are selling the water. I mean, we all have in all countries have water, and then you ask for Evian or Perrier, and we didn't have this kind of ¿cómo se dice? Iniciativa.
Initiative.
Initiative. Yes.
No, you can do a whole entire examination of the Spanish character as the individuals and collectivity through the impossibility that we have to sell tortilla de patatas internationally. But anything, no, I would like to just make another. There is a suspense in the movie also.
Yes.
Especially until she doesn't open and just reveal actually the whole truth to the other woman, right? But until that point, there is some elements of a thriller. And that reminds us, of course, of many of the movies that you have done before, or a certain Hitchcock, you know, that was something that you did it on purpose, or the whole dynamic of the movie was just taking you there?
No, I was completely conscious of that, and I like that you mentioned this, because it's something that in general I read something, but the critics don't give that importance to that part. It's very obvious, for example, in the music. The score that Alberto Iglesias did include this kind of tension. And really, there is a sequence when I was writing it, and it's when Janis is having coffee, and then appears Anna, completely not disguised, but like a new woman, like someone irreconocible, unrecognizable, and this is really very Hitchcockian. And also, I can say, when I was writing, I thought about Patricia Highsmith. This kind of thrilling. Then, you are sitting down. Then this girl is coming. You discover that you know her, and after you discover that she's trying to look for you because she went to your house place first, and after she goes to the bar, and that part is very. It's very tense. I hope that has a little suspense, because for the character of Janis, she doesn't know what to do. And what she does is just the opposite, to have a distance. She invites her, to know why she's there in that bar, because she thinks that it's not casual at all. And also, with all the part when Penelope is trying to hide everything related with the daughter, is also very thrilling. It becomes that part because to that genre, to the thriller. And well, I director, I didn't say anything to them. Just to be very deep and very intense in the case of Penelope. And but it's true that there is that part that is a thriller. more than a melodrama.
No,
I want
you
to
never
share
know
something
how
about
much
that,
it is.
Antonio.
Yeah.
I want to share something. I want to share something about that because to me it was fascinating. All the times that I worked with Pedro, I was very, very clear about the tone that we were working with, and he would also. It was always clear in the script, but he would also give like specific references or clues about the tone of each part of the films, because we've done films like Broken Embraces, where we have two genres in one film, which is drama and comedy. And in this case, he played a game with us, which was so clever and so interesting and so refreshing, because the script is a masterpiece, and it's very clear what movie it is. But he never mentioned about the thriller aspect, about the film noir, about none of those things, no references. And he had done it before with me, like for Lena in Broken Embraces, of different references of Italian cinema, nothing, zero. And we had to discover that through all those months with different little clues. The main one was like, there is no reason for you to cry in this scene. There is no reason for you to be hugging each other in this scene. You stop talking to the little girl that way, like me, you know, like the way I would be in real life, or too affectionate, or too trying to be connecting with people, or trying to be, none of that. But it was not here. This is the explanation of what I want to achieve. And I love that so much, Pedro, because when we shot for 1 month and then you took me into that bar and showed me like 20 minutes of the edit, I felt like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like all these different clues that I've been interpreting in a specific way are there. And I never asked you this. Why did you decide to do it that way? Like not to share with us the clear message of this block of the movie is actually gonna feel like a thriller. It's gonna feel sometimes like a film noir.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be
you don't know.
from the melodrama.
You have no idea.
Said it.
No idea how
everything is calculated, you know. He did it on purpose. But I have to say thank you, because for me as an actress to be able to discover that with that time while we were rehearsing, while we were shooting, and then when you showed me that half an hour, which was not an accident. I don't think that day you just decided to show me that because you were in the mood to share. No, at that point you felt I was ready to see and to understand.
Why did you ask me to show the piece, or I don't remember? I mean, I remember that I saw you, but I don't know if you were like nervous, because in that case I always show to the actor, I mean the edition, because I'm editing every day. So
I was calling you every Sunday. I was calling you every Sunday or Saturday when I was not seeing you, and asking you, Pedro, what am I doing? Are you happy or not? I'm so insecure. Maybe that made you decide showing me that half an hour. But I also think it was part of your plan, because that day I understood
it
so
was
much
not.
of what
No,
we
I
were
didn't.
doing.
I didn't plan it. No. As I saw you very insecure and nervous, and then I thought the best thing is just to show it, because I was very sure about the material edited at the moment. So and it is the best way. I mean, just to answer you that we are also in the best way of the acting.
Yeah, but
because
of
course I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them this part is like a thriller, this part is more melodrama, this part is like a no, I just tried to direct her just what I thought that it was the best theme for the sequence. And you know, Antonio, the two girls, they were very moved by the script, by the entire script. So they start rehearsing with this kind of emotion. So they start crying immediately, and I was trying to drain that tears, because it was not the appropriate interpretation, but it was what they felt, and but I have my reasons, and I was clear, and anyway, I mean, you did it, and you did it very well. But it was tough not to be moved of what the other girl. I mean, when the other girl is telling you that the daughter is dead. So it's
No, it was so hard. It was the easy thing was to express that emotion, that fear, that horror, but it was so hard to have to contain that emotion because she's lying about her own daughter. So
yeah, but you know, Penelope and Pedro was right. You know what happened? That the whole, not just the emotional part, the whole movie, including that suspense and thrilling part that we were describing before, everything in this movie is very subtle. It's unbelievably subtle, small, minimalist, and beautiful, because it's not until you go 10, 15 minutes in the movie that you start feeling that your backpack start being filled with things. And then you travel through it in a very interesting way, because once the confession is made from one woman to the other, the movie takes a flight that is unexpected too, which is the one that we described before. It doesn't go dark. The opposite, it goes light, and it's almost transparent. I love that part of the movie, and I love that subtleness. But I would like to make a question to you, Penelope. The fact that you are a mother, how that affected you to get into this character?
I had to completely separate them from this. I always do that when I work with characters that are suffering with anything related to children. And I actually try to do it with, in general, I used to use more that in my work when I was younger, maybe some traumas or some things from my life or some members of my family, and it never felt honest. It never felt like it was a fair game. I felt a little bit like if I was maybe betraying them by using them for that, but I had to go through that. It's okay. But since I became a mother, my approach to this work changed a lot, because I feel like, no, there are some things that I'm not gonna use to find that emotion, but that window is open because it's part of me, it's part of every one of myself. Everything that I have experienced, good things, bad things, is gonna be there. So the window has to be open for that to come through, including your relationship with your children, but without forcing it, without ever, oh, how would it be if it was like seeing the little face of your son or your daughter? Never. Like that would be like sacred. I wouldn't do that. But I have gone through that experience. I know what it is, like the love for a child. So of course that helped me to understand the threat that this woman experiences, and also the moments where I was more afraid and where I was more like, how am I gonna reach like what Pedro needed for those scenes? It was always remembering, no, this is to honor those women, not just in these situations that are more peculiar, like the babies getting exchanged in a hospital. That has happened, but not very often. But to honor all the women everywhere in the world that have had or have situations where they experience a loss or a threat of a loss with their own child. So that was like also my engine every day of like trying to find that truth that he needed, and to honor this material and to honor this story that unfortunately also represents a pain that is real. So that helped me a lot every day. And I would stay sometimes in the set with Pedro, like crying for another extra hour. He was there waiting, really, really helpful always. And then I would come home when I was already not 100%, but already myself. And I knew where I was and who I was, and kind of.
Okay. Wow. No, it's remarkable. I'm very happy. Actually, I am serious, because when you see the work of your friends and friends that you admire, you are always afraid. I'm always afraid that I am not gonna like, for whatever reason, you know. And so, but I'm proud of you guys. You did an amazing work, and it's a movie that deserves to be watched again, because it's so subtle that you may just.
Yeah, it's better always to see a second time, but all the movies in general. I mean, when a movie interests me, I see it twice, because there is a lot of information there in the second. Yeah. So see twice.
There is something else that you guys want to say, because I gotta go to the theater. I have a performance to do tonight.
No, I want to say thank you to you, Antonio, for
Yeah,
this with us and all the beautiful
thanks
things
a
you
lot.
said.
No, thank you guys for making this movie. Really, it's extraordinary. It's remarkable. I've been not surprised because no, with Pedro, you know, putting things in the way that they should be, making justice in a very wide way without trying to hit anybody on the head. I thought it was very beautiful. As I said before, almost poetic and transparent. And that is a way to look at our history and to look at the future. I think it was.
It is very important for us, for the Spanish people. I think this is a movie that not to separate people, it's just to make a kind of reconciliation, that to live together. That was very clear for me. That was my intention. Not revenge, not any kind of this. No, the opposite. No. And that was very clear since the beginning. And we tried to do it in that way. So you have to go now right away to
I have to go to do the warming up and jump on the stage at 7. And
how long you warming up before the show?
2
much
hours.
time?
2 hours before we start for an
2 hours, my God.
For a minute, and then the performance is 3 hours, and I never leave the stage. I am singing the whole entire time. And but you know, the whole theater is crowded every day. People stand up every night. It's very beautiful. So I'm very happy.
Fantastic.
Have a great show today, Antonio.
You deserve it.
Besitos.
Chao, un beso.
Kisses.
Chao. Thank
guys.
you.